not accept the results of this election. Earlier today, I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition. They booed. And that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power. I'm back, y'all. King is okay. A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. In our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States. And loyalty to our conscience and to our God. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. The fight for freedom, for opportunity, for fairness, and the dignity of all people. King is okay, y'all. He got stung by a bee. He's fine though. At the heart of our nation. I took the thing out of the ideals that reflect America at our best. That is a fight I will never give up. All right. I will never give up the fight for a future where Americans can pursue their dreams, ambitions, and aspirations. Hi, the women of America have the freedom to make decisions about their own body and not have their government telling them what to do. We will never give up the fight to protect our schools and our streets from gun violence. All right now, Kamala. And America, we will never give up the fight for our democracy, for the rule of law, for equal justice, and for the sacred idea that every one of us, no matter who we are or where we start out, has certain fundamental rights and freedoms that must be respected and upheld. And we will continue to wage this fight in the voting booth, in the courts, and in the public square. And we will also wage it in quieter ways, in how we live our lives, by treating one another with kindness and respect. That's right. By looking in the face of a stranger and seeing a neighbor. By always using our strength. All right now. To lift people up, to fight for the dignity that all people deserve. The fight for our freedom will take hard work, but like I always say, we like hard work. That's right. Hard work is good work. Hard work can be joyful work. And the fight for our country is always worth it. It is always worth it. To the young people who are watching, it is... I love you. He said, I love it. To the young people who are watching, it is okay to feel sad and disappointed. But please know it's going to be okay. On the campaign, I would often say, when we fight, we win. But here's the thing. Sometimes the fight takes a while. We've been fighting all our life. That doesn't mean we won't win. We've been fighting all our life. Now we got to keep fighting. Don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. We got to fight harder now. Stop trying. trying
Because
to
if not, we
make
couldn't
the
be some
world a
slaves.
better place. You have power. You have power. And don't you ever listen when anyone tells you something is impossible because it has never been done before. You have the capacity to do
Why she didn't
extraordinary
speak
good
earlier, though? I mean,
in the world.
she just now speaking. That's
And so
crazy.
to everyone who is watching, do not despair. This is not a time to throw up our hands. This is a time to roll up our sleeves. This is a time to organize, to mobilize, and to stay engaged for the sake of freedom and justice and the future that we all know we can build together. Look, many of you know I started out as a prosecutor, and throughout my career, I saw people at some of the worst times in their lives. People who had suffered great harm and great pain, and yet found within themselves the strength and the courage and the resolve to take the stand, to take a stand, to fight for justice.
We've been fighting
to
for
fight
justice.
for themselves, to fight
We've
for
been fighting
others.
forever.
So let their courage be
Gotta
our
fight a little bit more harder
inspiration.
now.
Let their determination be our charge.
I can't believe it. I'm
And I'll
surprised Joe
close with
Biden not
this.
up there with her.
There's an adage, and
Why
a
he ain't up there
historian
with
once
her?
called
He
a
should have been up
law
there
of
with her.
history,
Joe Biden disappeared.
true of every society
They
across
getting
the
ready, probably
ages.
packing because they gotta move
The
out.
adage is, only
That's
when it is
crazy.
dark enough can you see the stars.
Okay.
I know many people feel like we are entering a dark time,
Huh.
but for the benefit of us all, I hope that is not the case. But here's the thing, America, if it is,
Okay.
let us fill the sky with the light of a brilliant, brilliant billion of stars.
Sound
The
good,
light
Camilla. Sound good. But we are we going into a
optimism,
dark tunnel.
of faith, of truth, and
It's crazy.
service.
All right.
It's you. And may that work guide us, even in the face of setbacks, toward the extraordinary promise of the United States of America. I thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I thank you all.
Well,
The first woman to become vice president of the United States, who had hoped to crack the glass ceiling and become the 47th president, just now conceding at Howard University, her alma mater, beginning by saying, "My heart is full today, full of gratitude, full of resolve." But at the same time, saying the light of America's promise will always burn bright as long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting. You can see the vice president there.
Keep on fighting. We've been fighting forever.
Want to bring in
How many times we gotta keep on fighting, y'all?
who's there at Howard University and has covered this campaign, and we hear once again Beyonce's Freedom in the background there. What else did we hear
Beyonce
from
made
the
a
vice
song
president
for
just now,
her.
Nancy?
I've been watching this, y'all, and seasoning my chicken for dinner. I appreciate the lights that's coming in here. I see them.
Which is that the United States is entering a dark time. She said,
Y'all heard what y'all said. We entering a dark time.
Let's be a billion points of light. Let's commit ourselves to service. Let's commit ourselves to acts of kindness. Let's find some good
I'm gonna
in the
soak my
situation we
chicken
find
in some
ourselves
almond
in.
milk, y'all.
And I have to tell you, that what was striking here
on the campus of Howard University. This crowd is filled not just with supporters, but with Howard students. Many of whom were
Wish I
not
had
invited
some
in for
buttermilk.
what was supposed to be a victory party here last night, but were
Let me turn the
allowed
light on.
to come and stand here in the yard and watch this speech today. And so to see the tears in the eyes of those students, some of whom were casting ballots for the very first time, some of whom believe that
Hey, Deneen, King
that they were
okay
casting
too. I put some
the woman who could be
I put
the
some
first
alcohol
graduate
and some
of an
peroxide
HBCU
and some
and actually become president of the United
antibody
States. To
cream.
see the tears in
So
their
he
eyes
okay. And
today
he not allergic, so
was
thank
really
God.
moving and
I
really
had to let
sobering.
y'all see this.
The vice president said that she had spoken to former President Trump this afternoon,
Oh, they're feeding the
and
chicken
she
for
talked
dinner.
about the importance of unity. And actually, the former president put out a statement acknowledging that and extending a rare olive branch to her and complimenting her on the tenacious race.
Yeah, it did. It went down.
Over the past 107
Once
days.
I put that cleaned it real good and put that
Nancy, we
cream
also
on it, yeah,
heard
he good.
from Vice President's campaign manager with a similar
Just glad he
theme
wasn't
that we just
allergic.
heard from the Vice President. Well, she said, "Well, I concede this election. I do not concede the fight that fuels this."
She said we entering into a dark tunnel. Lord have mercy. We've been in a dark tunnel. What you mean we entering a dark tunnel? We've been in a dark tunnel. Ain't no entering. We've been in one. It's ridiculous. I hate this, man. It's crazy.
Nora, and I'll just read it to you. She said that the work of protecting Americans from the impacts of a Trump presidency starts now. And basically, that was a call to arms for Kamala Harris supporters, for Democrats more broadly. We may have won this fight, but there are more fights to come. They're very concerned about what Trump
she
might
said
try to do
now we gotta go dig out, way out to the light. Exactly. This the meme. Exactly. We sure do.
They recognize that there are more fights to come. Fights that are only going to become
And
more
you heard
difficult
what she said. We
for
got more
Democrats
fights
as they
to
lose
come.
control of the Senate and of course to
More
potentially
fights to
stay
come.
in the minority in the House as well, giving Republicans a trifecta of the White House, the House, and the Senate. Nancy Cortez, thank you. I want to bring in Robert Costa to talk about Donald Trump, who with a populist revolt has won a decisive victory, not only perhaps in the Electoral College, but the popular vote as well. Some are calling this the biggest shift to the right in our country since Ronald Reagan's victory in 1980. What are you hearing from the Trump team today? His spokesman offered a conciliatory note to the vice president, but what happens next?
Well, the Trump campaign was certainly populist in spirit. They're confronting now in Vice President Harris an opponent who has conceded this election, and I've covered her since she was in the U.S. Senate. And when I speak to her confidants and her friends, I say, who is she? What is she about? And they say she is a lawyer. At the end of the day, she believes in the rule of law, in constitutional order. And you see in her tone, in her speech today, not some kind of populist fervor. Yeah, she talked about galvanizing Democrats
he was almost at 300. It's still going right now,
steady, committed to the peaceful transfer of power, urging all Americans to accept the election results. And when I talk to the Trump campaign, they don't see in Vice President Harris someone they want to fight. They see someone to a point in terms of her constitutional office, someone to be respected. Now, how they handle her in the coming days, how they handle President Biden, who knows? But
President
she's
Biden
projecting
didn't come
herself
up there
today
with
as a
her.
serious figure on the American scene. And how she's handling this devastating defeat with this speech. And it will be very intriguing to me as a reporter to watch. How will the Trump campaign handle her showing grace in this moment? Will they pull back some of their usual political attacks?
As soon as it hit 277, I went to bed. I know that's right.
I imagine that we'll quickly go back to some of the very personal attacks that characterized this race. As you know, Donald Trump had called her low IQ.
You already knew,
back and forth between the two of them.
It was over.
I want to ask you, John Dickerson, because you spent a lot of the evening taking a look at exit polls, and I think people want to know, what does this say about America? This is now Trump's America for some people. In the last 11 of 13 elections, people have voted for change. The exit polls show 73% of voters thought that Trump was more likely to bring about change.
Yeah. Can I just do one quick
Donald Trump, we already knew Donald Trump was going to win. What are you talking
she
about?
says we must accept the results of this election. That would be in normal traditional American politics. Just something you say, you move on. They got a pause, she lingered on it. That's obviously still making those distinctions with Donald Trump. And there was also some self-help in here. We wage this campaign in quieter ways, in the ways we treat each other as individuals. That's also implicit in that is a criticism of Donald Trump. It felt very much like Ted Kennedy's speech at the 1980 convention when he lost, which is the hope still lives and the dream shall never die, which is a kind of formula for a Democratic concession speech, giving everybody something to fight for in the future. What this election was about, to your question, in the exit polls, it was an election that changed. Donald Trump was able to appeal to parts of what were the traditional Democratic coalition by making a case about the economy, particularly to people at the lower end of the economic scale. But so what Democrats used to think were ironclad separations on race, he broke through those with Latino voters. He didn't do it so much with black voters. And he was able to hold on to his own voters. Kamala Harris, by contrast, was not able to do as well with women voters as she had hoped. And I think at the end of the day, what Donald Trump's success and the success of other Republican candidates up and down the line is that there was a group of voters out there who felt unseen, unheard during the economic crisis, but also when you listen to J.D. Vance's speech at the convention, they felt unheard and unseen going back to the financial crisis of 2007, 2009, and back to the wars after 9/11. And we should throw COVID in there too. And so that's, and here we have the exit polls showing how it actually happened. There you see the victory of Latino voters. Donald Trump doing better than in 2020. He did well with young voters. This is the Democratic coalition. The most important number there is at the bottom. Women, 53% turned out for Kamala Harris. It was 57 for Joe Biden, and that's really the most important part of the race, that not turning out those women as part of her coalition.
Want to bring in Caitlin Huey-Burns. She is with the president-elect Donald Trump in West Palm Beach, Florida. And Caitlin, what are we hearing about potential presidential transition plans?
Wow.
Yeah,
like the live, double tap, double
already
tap.
getting to work, working on that transition. The former president and president-elect now is just a couple of miles away from here at his resort in Mar-a-Lago today. He has been taking calls from world leaders. He had a 25-minute phone call with French President Emmanuel Macron, and they talked about a lot of different issues according to the readout, and most importantly, of course, the issue of Ukraine will be center stage of some of those key relationships with foreign leaders. In terms of the transition, it's notable that Trump's two sons, Don Jr. and Eric Trump, are among those leading this transition team. This has been a family affair, this campaign, from the beginning, and will continue to be through the transition. Also leading that transition is Linda McMahon, the former CEO of WWE Wrestling, and also served as the in his cabinet before, and Howard Lutnick, who is a close friend of Trump and a former CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, leading that transition. But Nora, we're really looking at not only all the jobs that have to be filled, but specifically his cabinet.
But you can like the live though. Bring out the red dresses, okay?
Someone who could be involved in health policy, for example. But remember, all of the criticisms that came for Donald Trump from former members of his cabinet in his administration were kind of key center stage of this campaign. So he has noted that he will pick people differently than he has before. So keeping an eye on that. But this is a team getting prepared to go to Washington, and also, as Donald Trump mentioned in his acceptance speech last night, feeling like they have a mandate for governing. Not only they're defeating the Electoral College, they're also on track for a narrow win in the popular vote. And they're also going to come to Washington with a Senate majority. We're keeping an eye on the House majority as well. So this is a former president, now president-elect, feeling like he has a mandate and broad Republican support in Congress. Nora.
Excellent reporting there, Caitlin Huey Burns in West Palm Beach. Want to turn to our senior White House and political correspondent, Ed O'Keefe. And that is an important point, that he will see this election as a mandate. It was a resounding victory for him. And then he will have that majority in the Senate. So he will have some leeway about who he puts in his cabinet.
Not only who he puts in his cabinet, but potentially who he can stack the Supreme Court with, should some of the older justices decide to retire, can fill the federal judiciary as well across the country, the appeals and district court level. It gives him almost total control over federal government, and especially its personnel. But a few things going on in Washington and across the country we should reflect on. First of all, we know now at the Justice Department there are active discussions about starting to wind down some of those investigations and the cases involving him. Jack Smith, the special prosecutor's office, in discussions with the Attorney General about winding down the election-related allegations, the classified documents.
Anybody could have been a president, y'all. Double tap the screen, y'all. Like the live, like the video, y'all. Come on, like it.
Democratic governors
Let's
across
go.
the
Like
country,
it. I
big blue
appreciate
states,
your
Midwestern,
likes.
Southwestern
Let's
states, many of whom have experience working with the first Trump administration during the pandemic, are in active discussions today about how to, as they put it, Trump-proof their states and prepare for big changes, ongoing changes in women's reproductive health, immigration policy, environmental regulations, and how the federal government will regulate industry and other aspects of society. These are governors like Illinois' J.B. Pritzker, Colorado's Jared Polis, Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer, who were all in those meetings with him back in the day about the pandemic, and then had to band together to deal with some of the relief because they believed the federal government wasn't moving fast enough. The other thing, if you were hearing that speech and you thought to yourself, that kind of sounds like the beginning of a 2028 campaign, some Democrats I've already heard from say, yeah, that did sound a little bit like that, but they said, there'll be at least 20 other Democrats who want to run as well. She will not have the field to herself if she so chooses to go down that road in 3 years.
That's right. The Vice President Kamala Harris conceding the race, she said today.
Yes,
but
I'm back, y'all. Double tap, like the line, like the line. They said as long as he didn't win the House,
the greatest political movement of all time.
Winning that too,
and
yeah.
He will bring about
of course.
the golden age of America. Our coverage will continue on
I'm
CBS
not on
News
here
24/7,
bashing
your
Donald
local
or
news.
Camilla.
And
I'm not bashing
we'll
nobody.
wrap
I'm
up on
just
the CBS
watching.
Evening News. We've got an hour-long show tonight, so we hope you'll join us. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm Nora O'Donnell.
I'm just watching.
And you've been watching a CBS News special report. Vice President Harris
That's
delivered
all I'm
her
doing is
concession
watching.
speech following former
We
President
knew
Trump's
that he
win
was
of the
gonna win.
presidency last night.
She told a crowd of
Nobody
supporters she
didn't
was
wanna
proud
listen to
of
me.
the campaign she
Nobody didn't
ran.
wanna listen
Harris
to me.
also urged her supporters to keep
This
fighting.
stuff is
Here's
set
part
up.
of that. While I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
Keep fighting. Better keep on keeping on. I'm gonna make some green beans. That's what
The
I'm gonna
fight
make.
for freedom,
I was gonna do corn,
for
but we're gonna do some
opportunity,
brain brains,
for
fried
fairness,
chicken and rice.
and the
Yes,
dignity
sir.
of all people.
With some onions up in it.
CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes is still there after the Vice President's remarks. Nancy, the Vice President started her remarks saying the light of America's promise will always burn bright, reminiscent of her speech the night before Election Day. She also said, quoted an adage, "Only when it is dark enough can you see the stars." What stood out to you about the speech?
Well, it almost seemed like a bit of a therapy session for not just the Democratic supporters who were here in the yard, as it's known, at Howard University, but for Democrats across the nation who are shocked and devastated today. Who thought that Kamala Harris was going to become
that's what he trying to
the
tell us,
first
and we
female
ain't from
president
Africa.
of the United States. She told them, yes, the outcome is not what we wanted, but I'm so proud of the race we ran, the way we ran it. She said it is not the time for despair. And she mentioned, as you noted, that there are many people who feel that the nation is now entering a dark time. But she urged her supporters to find some light in the darkness, if that's how they feel, through service, through becoming politically active, or even just being kind to one another.
Nancy Cordes, thank you so much.
Let's bring in our political panel. Jaime Moore and Maura
I know
Gillespie.
you
Jaime
joking.
is a Democratic strategist who served as the director of the Office for DNC Chair Jamie Harrison. Maura previously served as an advisor to former Republican House Speaker John Boehner and former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Thank you both for being here so much. Maura, the vice president talked about there being a peaceful transfer of power. We heard John Dickerson say, you know, in ages past, that would sort of be a throwaway line. She lingered on it. What did you make of her remarks?
Yeah, what?
That was an important point to
Man, we
make to
leaving
people.
on a
It's
jet
just
plane.
kind
I
of
know
what
that's
happened
right.
4 years ago when we didn't have a peaceful transfer of power.
The jet plane.
Again, I think that was a positive message
Oh
to
my
remind them
God.
that because again, you know,
Oh my
country was so
God.
divided. If you want people before the election, so many people were afraid of the outcome. Whether you talk to a Trump supporter or a Harris supporter, they were so afraid of what the outcome was going to be. And so to bring it back to the fact that
Did
you know,
y'all
our
see
country
them
will
numbers
survive
though?
this moment, no matter if you wanted her to win or
That thing
her to
said
lose, we'll survive this
291.
moment. We will continue on. Our democracy will continue because we do have adults in the room here who are going to give the peaceful transfer of power, who are going to help during a transition, and reminding the American
about to
people
fry my
that they're
chicken.
going to do that, I think was
On that
honestly
note.
top notch.
And Jaime, you mentioned to us on the set as we were watching
I
that
said,
the
me and my
speech that
husband
Vice
stayed up all
President
night
Harris
watching
gave
this.
reminded you of one
And when
that
I seen that
Hillary Clinton made.
291.
What were some of the similarities there?
Yeah, no, and look, I worked for Hillary Clinton in 2016. And so last night was very tough for a lot of us.
Right?
This morning's been
Blood,
very tough
sweat,
for
and
us.
tears from my
Hillary
ancestors
Clinton gave a
paid my
speech the
price. I
Friday
know
after
that's
the election
right.
in
Yes.
2016 that was
So
two
did.
things. One, to assure us as campaign staffers that, like Kamala Harris said, life goes on.
Yes, they
we think of
did.
ourselves and keep going. And then secondly,
They better not
she
come
felt
with that mess.
very, very
They
strongly
better
about
not come
making sure
with it.
people understood that every 4 years this happens. And it doesn't matter if it's Donald Trump or if it's Bill Clinton or if it's Barack Obama. We've got to have this change of power. And when you're in this fight, it's okay to lose sometimes. You got to figure out how to pick yourself back up.
That's what they saying. I've been hearing all on the internet. That's what you trying to talk about with slavery. Y'all can go
And
with
real
that
quick, you
mess.
did not see
I don't
that
know what the
speech as setting up for a 2028 run.
No, I don't think so, Lindsay. I think this is too. Look, Vice President Harris ran a really great campaign. I'm very proud of her, and I'm proud to call her a friend. I think she was tremendous. But this is it's too soon to say. We have some fantastic candidates who will emerge in 2027 and 2028. A bunch of governors, a bunch of members of Congress, a bunch of senators, mayors, and so I think it's too soon to say that the vice president's going to prepare to run
I'm pretty
again.
sure we
And I don't
all
think that's fair
did come
for our
together.
party to say that right
Everybody voted. Everybody had Camilla back.
Just the
It
detail
doesn't matter.
with which
She was
Vice
gonna
President
win
Harris went
regardless
into the
of the
importance
fact.
of a
He was gonna
transition of
win.
power, as if
There's no
almost
change to that.
to use the Hillary Clinton, they go low, we go high. And by not mentioning what she
When it
was
first
really
started,
referencing, she made sort of
and I
a
knew he was
grander
going for
point,
president
as
again.
John Dickerson pointed
I said it
out,
off top
that needed
from
to
the
be made.
beginning.
I just
He's
think it
gonna
was
win
to
this
kind
again.
of quell
Watch.
the concerns that many people
And I
have.
said
Again,
Joe Biden gonna step
the emotions
down.
were so high going into
I
election
knew
day. Fear was one of the prominent things that was being played upon during this entire election cycle. And so
They
to
fixed
try
all
and
this
remind
stuff
people
for a
that that's
reason.
not going to change, that we are going to
This
move
stuff is
on,
fixed.
and the transfer of power is important to our democracy.
Jaime Moore, Maura Gillespie, thank you both so much for being here. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break, and you can join us at the top of the hour for a special edition of America Decides.
You're watching CBS News 24/7.
Huh, got that right. You can say that again. Mess around and find out.
Washington is the seat of power, national security, foreign policy, global economics. Every story comes through Washington in some way. We bring some of the most powerful voices in America to the table.
All right, y'all, that's the end of this. We is done with this. I am about to finish cooking my dinner. I appreciate y'all coming by, watching it with me, hanging out and talking mess. I'm about to cook dinner. I am making fried chicken. I put my fried chicken in here. I agree, string. All right, Kelly, head to town. Gotta get my cleats and face. It's raining, icy. Oh, yes, I'm gonna check out your video, too. I'm gonna go over there and check it out. And I'm gonna get over here and turn my music up loud and mind my business. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I'm making this fried chicken, some yellow rice, and we doing some string beans for dinner. So thank you everybody for coming in, tuning in. I appreciate every last one of y'all. I wanted to share that little live video with y'all. I wanted y'all to see what Kamala Harris was talking about. And all I gotta say, y'all, God bless America. And it's up from there. It's up from there, y'all. You have a good day too. Hey, Yusef, you have a good day, Streams. Tell Miss Bonnie I say hello. You have a wonderful and blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day. Yusef, fried, yes, I'm making fried chicken for dinner. So everybody, stay prayed up. Mind your business. Do what you got to do. Because like she said, we going into a dark tunnel. And I'm not trying to be a part of the shenanigans. So I'm going to mind my business and cook my dinner for my family and turn up my music in this kitchen. That's what I'm about to do. Y'all hear that grease popping over there? I don't like putting my chicken in the bag. That's why I put in a Ziploc bag. But all right, y'all. Till then, I will catch y'all the back end. Thank you for coming in, tuning in, watching the news with us. See what Kamala Harris is talking about. She really didn't say too much. I'll catch y'all on the back end. I'm out.